Hey y'all, welcome to Paige's Perspective, where I help you find your inner strength to cope with life. Let's talk about self-care again. I know, I feel like we talk about this a lot. I've had multiple episodes on this. Matt and I have discussed it. We try to have self-care check-ins within our community. And I think it's something that needs to be discussed a lot, because what we've heard over the years and over time is that it takes 7 times for somebody to hear something before they actually comprehend and understand it. So I'm going to come at this from a different angle. I'm not going to talk about the trendy version of self-care that you see floating around on the internet. This is going to be like real, honest, deep kind of self-care, the stuff that helps you become more yourself, not less, the kind that gives you clarity and not just comfort. Because here's the thing, I see a lot of people using self-care as a distraction. They say they're taking care of themselves, but really they're putting off the hard conversations and the hard work. They might be numbing out, they're avoiding, and they're stuck and they're calling it healing. So I'm going to clear some things up in here that we need to start by telling the truth about something, is that self-indulgence is not self-care. I'm going to say that again. Self-indulgence is not self-care. Self-care is intentional. It moves you closer to your values, even when it's uncomfortable. Self-indulgence is impulsive. It moves you away from discomfort, even if that means avoiding your truth. So self-care says, I want to feel good long-term. Self-indulgence says, I want to feel good right now. Now, I'm not here to shame you for wanting a cozy blanket or, that cookie that you've been eyeing, or a long nap, or, just a little break. Comfort has a place, but it becomes a problem when you start using comfort as a way to avoid clarity. When every bath, or you're scrolling through the internet, or treat, or Netflix binge becomes a shield from the hard questions that you're afraid to ask. Because here's what no one really tells you, is that sometimes real self-care feels awful in the moment. Healing can be very uncomfortable, but that's okay. That means you're doing something different and you're growing and changing. And it's something that you got to pay attention to. It's pulling yourself out of bed to face what you've been ignoring. It's canceling plans with the wrong people so you can spend time figuring out what you actually want. It's making a budget. It's finally going to therapy. It's speaking the truth, even when your voice shakes. That's care. This is self-care. These are the hard things that help us. We live in a culture, in a society where it's about being comfortable. Everyone wants you to be comfortable. They want you to be happy. But the reality is that the long term of being comfortable can keep you stuck in the mentality or in a physical self that doesn't help you grow. It's not really living by your values. There's a place for it, but it doesn't need to be your goal. So I want to talk about the 6 categories of self-care. What does real self-care look like? There are main categories, and we need all of them. The first one I'm going to touch on is mental self-care. This is how you manage your thoughts, your beliefs, your mindset. It's things like readings, therapy. It's setting boundaries, learning something new, or even just being honest with yourself when you're spiraling. Like, it's really just getting into your mentality. It asks, what am I feeding my mind? That's what mental self-care asks. What am I feeding my mind? Keep it pretty simple, because if your thoughts are constantly tearing you down or keeping you in confusion, that's not care. That is actually sabotaging yourself. And it's going to affect your mental health. The next one is going to be emotional self-care. This is about feeling your feelings. It's not stuffing them. It's not ignoring them. It's not numbing them. It's giving yourself permission to be sad, be mad, be disappointed without judgment. It might look like journaling, crying. A good cry is amazing. I love a good cry, especially when I'm working out. Sometimes I just let it out. It feels amazing. It's talking to a friend. It's taking a break when you're overwhelmed, but it also looks like telling the truth about what's hurting you. It's even if that means disrupting the peace, it means that you're not putting on a smile when you're breaking inside. It's being honest. That's going to be your emotional self-care. And then there's spiritual self-care. Don't check out here if you're not religious, okay? That's not what I'm talking about. Spiritual care is about connection. It's to something bigger than you. It's your values. It's your purpose. It might be prayer. It might be meditation. It might be time in nature. It could be silence, reflection, or sometimes serving others, if that's what floats your boat. It's asking what grounds me, what reminds me who I am, and what matters. Spiritual self-care gets lost when we're too busy being busy. It's about realigning with your deeper truth, not just going through the motions of life. The next one's going to be physical self-care. We talk about this all the time, I know, but it's more than, the bubble bath and the skincare routines. It's about moving your body. It's about feeding it well. It's sleeping, it's stretching, it's breathing, it's hydrating. But it's also about not punishing your body. Rest is part of physical self-care, but so is exercise. So is knowing the difference between needing a break and needing discipline. Like I've said before, I typically take one day where I do not exercise. Of course, life happens and there are times where I'm like, okay, I don't get all of my days in, and that's totally fine. But I try to exercise more days than less days because it is a mental outlet for me. We need it. Our bodies physically need exercise. And it's not about vanity. It's not. It's about regulating your nervous system. It's about pushing yourself and learning things that you can do while you're pushing yourself, because it helps you build resilience, knowing what you can do. I mean, it can be a spiritual experience to actually focus a lot on your physical self-care and what you can do. The next one's going to be environmental self-care. This one gets overlooked a lot, but your surroundings matter a lot more than people think. Environmental self-care is about more than the lighting, the candles, and organizing your kitchen. It's about the energy of your space, and that includes the people inside of it. You have to ask yourself, do I feel safe and respected in my home? Are the people I live with contributing to my peace or constantly disturbing it? Is my space a safe place? Is it a place or is it a place that I have to brace myself to enter? And we don't talk about this enough, but your nervous system responds to who you're around. You could have the cleanest house on the block, but if you're walking on eggshells around someone you live with, that's not self-care, that's actual survival. And your nervous system is going to be shot if you're around somebody who makes you just feel unsafe. It means creating a space that helps you breathe deeper and not hold your breath. So that might mean rearranging your physical space so it reflects your needs, but it might mean spending time in a room that's just yours, even if it's small. It might mean asking for privacy. And yes, sometimes it means having really hard conversations, or even making long-term changes about who shares your space, because your home should feel like a place to return to, not to escape from. And we actually discuss this in our program about how other people can impact the way we feel. And sometimes we do take on other people's emotions and their feelings, especially people that we live with. Like, this is natural. Think about a dog. They pick up on people's energy all the time. If you're scared or upset or angry or whatnot, they're going to get shaky. If you're happy, they're happy. Like, you can set the tone for the home, except for somebody who's not going to pick up on that. That's a totally different episode. But I had issues with picking up on my husband's negative energy that had nothing to do with me. And I had to learn how to mind my own business in that aspect, and really just kind of not take on the energy that was not going to help me. And it does take practice, but this was also when he was just, this is just a normal, healthy relationship. This is when he was sober and still in recovery, years into recovery. I was still taking on his energies and his emotions. So I had to learn to kind of, reel that in and not take that on, because it's not my responsibility to take that on. And it wouldn't be helpful for me. So in the program, we actually help people understand that line and how to not take on other people's moods if it has nothing to do with you. Okay, another category is going to be social self-care, which, connection matters. We're humans. We're supposed to connect. But it gets a little tricky because it's not about people pleasing. It's not showing up for everyone but yourself. It's actually building relationships where you feel heard, where you feel safe, where you feel seen. It's spending time with people who make you feel like yourself, not less than. Sometimes it's taking a break from toxic people, even if they're family. Like, it's okay to not do everything. It's okay to take a step back. It's okay to recharge. It's just choosing connection with people who respect your boundaries and you can have healthy conversations with. And you can actually have disagreements, but, in a healthy way. So let's get real about something. A lot of people aren't overdoing self-care. Okay. They're overdoing the avoidance and calling it care. So these are some hard questions that you can ask yourself. Am I resting or am I hiding? Is this helping me feel grounded and capable, or is it helping me avoid what I know I need to do? Do I feel more clear after this or more confused? Is this moving me closer to the person I want to be, or is it keeping me stuck? These questions aren't meant to shame you. They're meant to wake you up, because the truth is healing is not always pretty. Real self-care might mean facing the fact that something you've tolerated for too long has to change. It might mean being alone for a while. It might mean risking disapproval. It might mean being the villain in someone else's story. It might mean saying no to people who are used to hearing yes. It's hard, but that's self-care. Those are the things that are important, because it's you living by your values and not doing what others are expected of you. So the next time someone tells you to just take care of yourself, don't reach for the scented candle, don't go to the spa, don't, do those things that might make you feel like, oh, yes, I'm going to go take care of myself. You have to ask yourself, what do I really need? Where am I avoiding? What would care actually look like for me today, even if it's hard? You deserve comfort, but more importantly, you deserve clarity. And sometimes clarity comes from discomfort. Real self-care is not always soft. Sometimes it's the exact thing that you don't want to do. If you struggle with self-care, we have an entire module in our program to help you start making some changes within your self-care routine. We have a pretty awesome worksheet for each category that can help you keep track of what you're doing. You can use code Wheelie75 at independentlystrong.com or twfo.com for 75% off the entire program. So that's all I have for this week. Until next time, I'm Paige. Bye.